Today is Friday, September 6th, and we're going to go around the bases with our MLB insider at the New York Post. He is none other than Jon Heyman. Jon, how you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you, Ryan?
I'm doing okay. The Yankees, not so much. So we're going to start there, right? Because I know we got to talk about what happened, what's going on with this Yankees squad right now. They lose another series to the Texas Rangers. They're now a half game back in the AL East. It doesn't seem like Aaron Boone and company are worried about the current state of the team and how they've been playing. Clay Holmes blows up for another save. I heard you talk on the show with Joel Sherman about this exact situation with the bullpen. I want to start there before we get into the bigger topic of Verdugo and Dominguez.
Yeah.
So the Yankees, Aaron Boone has said we're going to have to get creative here with this bullpen and the closer situation. So, Jon, when you're looking at what's going on with the Yankees and Clay Holmes, what's your read on it all?
Well, get creative here is another nice way of saying that Holmes is demoted, at least for the moment, and we get it. I mean, he's had 11 blown saves. Some of it's bad luck. I like Clay Holmes. I think he'd be a great setup man. Unfortunately, we're not sure who the closer can be. Heel's now back, but as a starter, is he a possibility? Maybe. Weaver's been generally pretty good. Can he close in New York? I mean, not anybody else's Mariano Rivera. I get that, but it's not an easy job. It's not easy at all. So it's not an easy solution either. Probably get creative is probably accurate, besides being euphemistic.
Yeah.
And they'll probably mix and match and try to figure it out. And maybe Holmes will get back in there at some point. But for the moment, I think that means he's demoted, and I don't think anybody can argue with it. As I wrote in the Post today, they tried certainly for Tanner Scott. They tried for AJ Puck. Some reason they didn't really love Estevez, I guess. I don't think they were close on Fairbanks either, but we can look back on it. But look, Estevez brought a ton from the Phillies to get him. Tanner Scott brought a ton from the Padres. Were the Yankees going to really outbid that? It's hard to second guess that. Now, we don't know exactly what the Yankees were asked
Right.
about, but we do know George Lombard Jr. was one guy that the Marlins were interested in. Did they mention Dominguez? Probably, but I mean, could they have done it without Dominguez? You would think some combination could have done it, but we don't really know all the facts there, so it's hard to second guess the Yankees on this. It's not hard to second guess them that Holmes is demoted, at least for the time being.
No, I hear you, Jon. I guess the fans and the outrage is that you're all in on Juan Soto. We've talked about this so many times this year. You
Right.
are only guaranteed Juan Soto for the next month and the postseason. After that, he's a free agent. This is the year you have Aaron Judge having one of the best offensive seasons we've seen in a long time. He slowed down recently, but he's still the best player in the American League. I don't know what else to say. You had the opportunity at the deadline. You should have been all in if you're Brian Cashman. Yes, we can second guess that moment. The other thing I wanted to hit on with you, too, with the Clay Holmes situation is, don't you find it a little interesting that we're 20 games left in the regular season? I understand Clay has 11 blown saves, the most in baseball. We know he's a contact pitcher. He's going to pitch to contact. You have to play great defense behind him. But why all of a sudden are we having this reactionary, moment for Boone and company to say, we got to get creative with the closer role when you're so dedicated to other players on the team who are only here for 1 year and Alex Verdugo? Do you find that a little interesting here, Jon?
Well, I mean, obviously these are separate calls. I personally think they shouldn't be so dedicated to Verdugo. It doesn't appear that I'm alone there. I mean, there's a bit of an overreaction, and guess I'm feeding into it. I feel a little guilty about that, but I mean, I don't get it with Dominguez. Give him a shot. The guy was held out of the Soto trade, even. Never mind Snell or Tanner Scott or whomever. He was held out of Soto. So they actually love this guy. And I'm not going to hold it against him that he was 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts against Tarek Skubal. A lot of people are 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts against
Yeah.
Tarek Skubal. I mean, he obviously had a bad game. He double clutched. Let's not go crazy over that one game. I mean, Verdugo in the last couple of months has been the third worst offensive player in baseball with 200 plate appearances. So they've given him ample opportunity. We're 85% of the way through the season. I know on the middle of June when he had a big game against the Red Sox, I lauded them for that trade, and I'm regretting it. I'm taking it back. I made a mistake. I think Boone should probably do the same. I mean, obviously he's got bigger stakes. He didn't just write one column. He
Right.
advocated for Verdugo for more than a year, from what we understand, and he loves Verdugo. Verdugo in a way is a safer choice because he is very good defensively in left field. Left field not easy in Yankee Stadium. Maybe a little safer choice. I think they need to go for it now. I mean, look, the Yankees were criticized for having a 2 superstar lineup for a while. Now Stanton is back. Jazz Chisholm has been added. If
Yep.
you add the Martian to this, it's almost a murderer's row. Why not give it a shot? They certainly have not separated themselves from the field. And by the field, I mean the better teams in baseball. They certainly are one of the better teams. And I think Verdugo is not going to do that at this point. I don't know whether he's still allergic to his batting gloves or his tattoos or what, but he has not hit for the last 2 months. I mean, you could say whatever you want about it. He looks better, whatever, unlucky. Look at his stats, 655 OPS. It's time to call up Dominguez. And I do think, it's easier for me to say that, to be the one to have to tell Verdugo that you're mostly on the bench now or you're released. They probably don't want to have that uncomfortable conversation.
But he's a free agent at the end of the year, though, and you're not committed to him past this season. I understand. I heard you and Joel talk about it. Would you lose Verdugo the rest of the season if you put him on the bench? You're not committed to him financially after this season. There's a difference there. I can understand to an extent why they keep running DJ LeMahieu out. There's no better options, and plus you have 2 more years left of him. But the commitment to Alex Verdugo, not running out a ball to first base, telling him post game he's playing his ass off in a moment that it doesn't look good right there. And to your point, the WRC plus is the 3rd worst in baseball all season for left fielders. So you're not getting good baseball out of Alex Verdugo in a time where you are desperately needing offense in this lineup, because to your point, it is a 2 superstar lineup. You get contributions from Stanton and Chisholm. Austin Wells has been a revelation at the offensive spot for the catcher spot. So this is your chance. You're all in. You're trying to make a push. And it just feels like, again, John, they're letting this division slip away. And that's what's scary to us as Yankees fans when we watch this. It's not fun to watch, man. Like the urgency doesn't feel there right now.
Yeah, I mean, people talk about it. Well, it's only important the playoffs. Well, no, it's important that they win that division. If they win the division, they will get a bye, right? I mean, the top 2 division winners get byes. It does not look like Houston, the likely winner in the West, is going to be one of those top 2 teams. So you win that division, you get a bye. I mean, certainly they should have the metal to the pedal. They should, whatever cliche you want to use, they should be going for it and not worrying about admitting a mistake. And I don't think that's it, but I don't know, because they're certainly in the vast minority in thinking that we should stick with Verdugo and not give Dominguez a shot here. And, if you want to put Verdugo on the bench, if you don't think he can handle the bench, then there's a real problem. But I'd put him on the bench and, find another solution. Duke Sims is up, right? You can release Duke Sims, not release for a DFA him or send him down or whatever. I want to get the terminology straight, but they have this unfounded love for Verdugo, and I'm not sure what it's about. I know there are other people in the organization who feel like we do and like most of the fans do, and that they should figure out how to get Dominguez in that lineup and make it a great lineup. Make it a lineup that's better than Philly and LA and Arizona and the other really good lineups. It's certainly one of the better lineups now, and I get the defense that Verdugo gives you, but that seems like an excuse to me, right? Because
I think so.
Dominguez has got big potential.
Yeah, I mean, John, for Dominguez, his last 18 games, not including last night, which he did hit a single and a home run of 105 miles per hour exit velocity, 4 home runs, 10% walk percentage. He's lowered his 22.6 strikeout percentage to 15%, and he has a 162 WRC plus. He is raking right now in AAA, so it is just proving further to the point.
Yeah, go ahead. I will say there is a big difference between AAA and 100%. The majors now, so we'll see about that. But the scouts will tell you the guy's got big talent. We saw him up last year in a cameo, hit 4 home runs. I believe it. They gave him a big contract, a big bonus when they signed him. I mean, the guy is known as having incredible talent. And like I said, we're 85% through this year. And Verdugo, for whatever reason, whether it's the allergies or whatever, offensively, he has not done it. You say 3rd worst in left field. Over the last 2 months, he's the 3rd worst in baseball with that number of plate appearances. That's not good. I don't know if do they count LeMahieu? LeMahieu's got to be worse. Maybe he doesn't have the 200.
He doesn't have the 200 plate appearances, right?
Probably not. No, but he's got too many plate appearances. Yeah. I love LeMahieu, and everybody does, but They have an unusual love for
In
LeMahieu as
allegiance,
well.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, no, John, it definitely is something for the Yankees fans. We're well in tune to see what's going to happen here over the coming weeks. And real quick, I know you alluded to it here. Maybe you said Weaver. In your gut opinion, real quick, who do you think is going to be that closer role for them these next couple of weeks? Are they going to try and put Clay Holmes back in there? Is it going to be Weaver? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you could say mix and match, but what lefty do they really have who's a potential
Tim Hill.
closer? So, yeah, that's not a closer. I mean, he had
Nope.
a 5 ERA with the White Sox. I know you escape the White Sox and you become great, and Michael Kopech did with the Dodgers, and he's
Mm-hmm.
certainly better with the Yankees. But really, there aren't a ton of closing options. I don't think Canely is it. So, I mean, to me, I thought it was Weaver. Joel Sherman said Heel. Um, you know, there aren't a lot of options, which might be why. Holmes got as much chance as he did get. But at this point, the way the focus is and the closer role and all that, I think you've got to do something else. And Weaver was my solution, so I'll stick with that.
All right, Weaver, TBD on the Dominguez thing. He could be called up this weekend. We don't know. We'll see what happens. Speaking of teams putting the foot to the pedal, the New York Mets. John, 7-game winning streak, swept the Red Sox. They are now tied after losses from the Braves, the Padres, Diamondbacks all last night, but they are tied with the Braves for the wild card spot, that third spot. They're playing great baseball, John. That lineup is raking.
Yeah,
Francisco Lindor. I know you when
yeah,
I had mentioned to you a couple weeks ago about the MVP thing. He is
yeah.
having an MVP like season.
Right.
They're getting great starting pitching. You know, for you when you're looking at this Mets team, you've been on high on them. What do you think, man? Like this is a
Yeah.
playoff team, right?
Yeah, it's funny that it seems like every week we're killing the Yankees and praising the Mets, and the Yankees are basically in at this point, right? They have to really fall on their faces not to be in the playoffs. And the Mets, it's basically 50-50. They're tied with the Braves. I know the Cubs are kind of on their heels, to use a cliche, and maybe the Diamondbacks or Padres could fall back. I don't know. It's basically 50-50 about the Mets getting in the playoffs, and it's all positive right now. 7-game winning streak, swept both Sox, 9-1 against the AL East. That's pretty impressive. I know we kill the Yankees, but they're generally a pretty good team. Yankees, Orioles, and Red Sox. Red Sox, they caught them in a slump. White Sox, whenever you catch them, it's probably good. But 7-game winning streak, nothing to sneeze at. Another cliche. It's pretty impressive. They've got Peterson going great. Manaya's been fantastic. Severino's been outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
Their bullpen's at least better than the Yankee bullpen right now. And their lineup is deep, right? I mean, they've been missing JD Martinez. He'll be back now, but it's a pretty deep lineup. If they ever get Alvarez going, it'll really be impressive. And as far as Lindor and MVP, he's certainly having an MVP type season. I think he's in that Bobby Witt Jr. category where it's going to be an uphill fight to beat Judge and Ohtani, two all-time greats who are kind of staring down history, trying to get the history of the 60-plus homers in the 50-50 season. It's going to be difficult, but the guy is an incredible shortstop. He's an amazing leader, throwing charity, everything. Lindor has been amazing with everything, and I'd love to see him get it. Not
He
going to
plays
rule
a
it
hell
out.
of a shortstop defense.
Yeah,
Defensively, he's a hell of a shortstop too. We
right.
don't talk enough about that.
Of course, we could say the same thing about Bobby Witt Jr. He's a hell
Right.
of a shortstop, an incredible player all around. And right now, if Judge and Ohtani don't win, it's going to be a surprise. It's certainly an uphill battle to beat either one of them. But Witt's been incredible. The Royals are a great story. They lost 106 games last year. The Mets are a compelling story. They've certainly improved quite a bit, and I don't say it's not all Lindor, but he's the key man in this whole rise for the Mets.
Yes,
So,
ever since they put him in that leadoff spot, he has been
yeah,
raking. He's one of the best hitters in baseball. That contract, a lot of fans were complaining about. At the beginning of the year, he started
good
off slow,
contract.
but now, yeah, the value now it's been there.
He's
He's like
great.
he's
Yeah,
the leadership too. That to your point, he's been great for them, and they're making a push for the playoffs. And who knows, they could do some damage. Hey, look, the wild card team, the
right.
Diamondbacks, made a World Series appearance last year. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it could happen for the Mets if they
Yeah,
that wild card spot and get hot at the
certainly
right time.
can. And look, Manaea, Severino, and Peterson have been really good. So it's a pretty good playoff rotation. It's a lot better than we would have thought. I know Senga's threatening to come back. We
Yep.
shall see about that. But Lindor, it's been amazing. I sat in on his charity event at Citi Field. No real great expense to me. I just walked across the hallway and sat in on it, and it was great. He was talking to kids about smiling, and even I smiled a little bit more for a half a day. So I got to give him credit for that. So it was terrific.
That's great, John. That's a cool story. You went to go to Lindor's charity event. He has a great smile too. He's a fun guy to root for.
Yep.
John, let's go to, speaking of the playoffs, World Series favorite. Who is it for you right now as we're getting closer here to crunch time?
Speaking of a crapshoot, I mean, I think the Dodgers are probably the best team at full strength, but there's no timetable on Kershaw. There's no timetable on Glass now. Yamamoto just comes back on Tuesday, so who knows with even them. The Phillies have been up and down. The Orioles have been up and down. Yankees, as we've gone over ad nauseum, even beyond ad infinitum, are up and down. So I don't know. Are the Guardians the most consistent team? I don't know. The Astros are interesting. Certainly, they haven't been good the last few days, but they've pieced together a good rotation out of nowhere with all those guys out. Urquidy, Javier, McCullers, Garcia. They've all basically been out the whole year or close to it, and they've somehow pieced together a rotation now where Justin Verlander is the sixth best starter that they have. So they're a threat. The Padres with that lockdown bullpen are a threat. The Diamondbacks, look at that they did last year. They've got now Walker coming back. Marte will be back and healthy. They're a threat. I mean, just about any team that gets in can do it. I think it is a real crapshoot this year.
All right. So there's John's prediction. Crapshoot. No idea. We're going to see and wait to play.
No idea. But I if I'm going to predict, I'm going to go Phillies and Astros. So that's my prediction.
I could see that. I could see it. We all can see that. All right, John, let's bring this all home. Your most disappointing team of the week. Who is it?
I think it's the Red Sox. They were a great surprise team, and now they're back down around 500. They didn't look good against the Mets. Of course, nobody's looking good against the Mets lately, but they're on a losing slide, and all the goodwill that they had has kind of come out to some degree. They got a lot of good young players. Their future looks better than it did before, particularly if they come up with some pitching in the offseason.
Yep.
But boy, Devers is in a slump, and
O'Neal's been struggling too since he came back.
Not good. Yeah. Yep. Obviously they got some key players. They got Abreu, looks like he's going to be good. Rafaela.
Yep.
Yeah, he looks like he's going to be good. They got some good young players and they got a good future, but right now they're pretty mediocre. So they're my disappointing team. I'm glad it's not the White Sox this week because I was tired of saying the White Sox. So we're going to go to the Red Sox.
John, they're breaking that record, right?
Absolutely. I think they got to go around 500 to avoid any part of that record, or even better at this point. No chance. Zero chance of that. I feel bad about it. Ed Kranepool's going to be happy. My friend from the 62 Mets did not want any part of that record. He doesn't deserve any part of that record. He was 17 years old. He played 3 games, and he still takes it to heart. Like, I want those White Sox to break our record. Good for him. And they will, Ed. You're going to feel good about that.
John, we appreciate you as always going around the bases and giving us all the latest stories around baseball, talking Yankees, talking Mets. Yankees and Mets got 2 big series coming up here. Mets playing the Reds, Yankees playing the Cubs. We'll see how it goes. Appreciate you as always, John.
All right. Sounds good, Ryan.